Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning. I am Abby Robinson. I'm the Sales Administrator here at ABC Computers. Today our webinar topic is Advanced Document Distribution for NAV with DocumentPath. Our presenter is Rob Hansen. Rob is a partner at Appomattox, which is the ISV that created DocumentPath. Just as a reminder to everybody, we sent out an email with the DocumentPath fact sheet, so that'll be a good resource to have access to during the presentation. Also, if anybody has any questions at any point, please go ahead and type them into the question window, and we'll address those at the end of the presentation. And with that, Rob, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Abby, and thank you everyone for taking the time to take a look at DocumentPath. Which, as Abby said, this is an add-on product for NAV. I'll go through a brief PowerPoint presentation. I don't want to bore you too much, just with some high-level info about the product. And then I'm going to go through a high-level demo showing some of what it can do. This isn't a training session. I'm not trying to explain every feature or how to set things up. So you're going to get kind of a bird's eye view of what it does, and hopefully you'll see how it may benefit your business. So with that, the product name is DocumentPath. Its focus is on advanced document distribution for Dynamics NAV. And as I said, this is an add-on for NAV. It streamlines and automates the sending of documents, so quotes, orders, invoices, statements, among other things, out to customers, vendors, and employees. We are purely focused on sending things out of NAV. This isn't a document management solution, so there are tools out there to let you import and attach documents to NAV, and they're very good at what they do, so we decided to focus strictly on the sending side. The product provides advanced capabilities to route documents to the right people quickly, easily, and effectively. So the bottom line, it provides time and cost savings. And there are a few different places the product fits into NAV. If we talk about one of NAV's core processes, and I use sales as an example, we have the sales flow where you receive an order, you go through all your normal ERP stuff, making the product, purchasing items, receiving things, you ship it out, and then you generate the invoice. And Dynamics NAV does all those things very well. It makes it pretty easy to get to that point. But after that, you need to send the invoice out to the customer, follow up on outstanding invoices, all working toward getting paid. And this is the part that, out of the box, is left to be a fair bit of a manual process. You can print to hard copy, print to a PDF printer, remember how the customer likes to receive their documents, create an email message, attach the invoice, but it's not very streamlined, and it requires some effort to track things and send them out the right way. So that is where DocumentPath comes into play for some of the core processes. We automate that to get things out more easily, and ultimately, when we're talking about the sales side, get paid faster. The product also has a number of advanced processes that it takes care of, and these are things that you just can't do out of the box with NAV. When you look at customer statements, issuing reminders on outstanding invoices, electronic payment remittance advices, and if you use payroll through Serenic, sending employee pay stubs, there's just no way to send these documents out electronically, short of printing each one by one, to a PDF printer and sending them out. So this is where DocumentPath adds capabilities to batch send these documents out in the way each customer, vendor, or employee wants to receive those documents. Another nice little feature when you talk about statements and issued reminders, DocumentPath will actually include copies of all open invoices directly in the PDF. So that just saves a lot of back and forth where the customer is missing an invoice, they have to call up, somebody has to send it out. Again, it's trying to minimize the drain on admin folks and also work toward getting paid faster when you're talking about the AR side of things. Our key selling points with DocumentPath, even on the sending side, there are a number of competitive solutions that were already out there when we created the product. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But our main selling points, Zetadocs Delivery is a very good product. It's very well known in the community. But we believe we have the richest feature set for the number of document types we'll send out and the capabilities around those. Some of the things DocumentPath can do, you just wouldn't be able to pull off with a tool like Zetadocs Delivery. We have an easy, low cost of implementation. Our product is all within NAV. A number of other solutions need to have outside components set up, and then NAV has to connect to those components to send out documents. All of our functionality is within NAV. We have some automated tools to put DocumentPath into an existing database. So in the end, we typically tell people, you can expect a half day to a day of consulting time to get this up and running. If you get fancier and you want to use a lot of the advanced features, you may need more training time. But for the most part, the cost to roll DocumentPath out is much lower than other products. No customization is needed to your existing reports to make them work with DocumentPath. We can send all NAV documents, all NAV reports. Again, Zetadocs requires a bit of customization to add some text to reports that it can look at to send them out. That's not needed with DocumentPath. And we call it an experience-powered design. DocumentPath was released in 2013, but there's a long history for our group working on sending solutions for Dynamics NAV. Back in 2006, we created a product that was marketed through another partner called Altus Send. So over the years with that product, we had a number of requests for customizations and enhancements. So when we designed DocumentPath, we took all of that and tried to build everything in out of the box. So our goal is to not have questions come up that we can't say aren't already there. And if you do have a need that's not there, we would look at getting it into the product. We want this to be the best solution for sending NAV documents. So that's all I'm going to do on the PowerPoint side. My contact information is here, but any questions you have should go through ABC Computers, back through Abby or whoever you normally work with at ABC. We have a great relationship with ABC, and we try to work hand in hand with our partners collectively. So go through them with any questions, and then they can come to me, and we'll get you sorted out. So having said that, I'm going to jump over to NAV, and hopefully this goes smoothly. This is the first demo that we've done on our NAV 2013 R2 database. We had been using NAV 2013, but it was time to, the product's been updated for a while, but we had just held off on moving all our demo data over. So you're going to see NAV 2013 R2, which may be new to some of you as well with the new look and feel. So I'm going to walk through some of the core processes just so you can see what the product is able to do. Under the Departments menu, we have a new DocumentPath group, and if I open up a list of document codes, this gives you an idea of the number of documents that DocumentPath can send out. Again, keep in mind it can send out any report in NAV using a generic process, but everything you see here has functionality around it to integrate right into the NAV process. And some of these you'll see are valid for customers and vendors. If you think of orders, for example, you have both sales orders and purchase orders. So the list of supported documents is longer than what you see here. I'll be coming back to that menu to show you a few of the different setups, but it helps to first see where those setups are used. So if I jump over to a customer, for example, and I open up the customer card for customer 20,000, the product adds a new document distribution tab to the customer card, vendor card, and employee card. And this is the place where you're able to configure for all the different document types you'll send out to this customer, how they should go out and who they should go to. So in the case of customer 20,000, we're able to say our shipment or packing list should always come out as a hard copy when we post to be included with the shipment. when we generate an invoice, this customer would like to receive an email copy right away, but they also have requested a hard copy. So you'll see that you can have multiple lines for the same document code for any given customer. The other fields in here determine who the documents will go to. So in the case of invoices, if I look at the email line, the email is linked to the master record email address, meaning the email address from the customer card. So that is filled in automatically here. You do have the option to link it to nothing and specify the address here, or link it to a contact record. I'm not going to go through all the fields here and put you to sleep, but there are a number of different configuration options for different documents by ship to address, that sort of thing. So we have invoices set to go out to this email address. There's a message template code filled in here, which I will show you how those are set up and what those do. And then there are a few merge fields. So you'll see in this case, we have a merge field that we've typed in the name Rob. And this is then used as a friendly greeting that can be put into the message when sending out invoices, and would apply the same way to the other document types. So I mentioned the message templates. If I jump over to that list, these are templates that you as a DocumentPath user would set up with the help of someone from ABC Computers on the training side. If I look at the sales invoice template, again, I'm not going to go through all the fields here, but this lets you define when an invoice goes out by email, how should the message be formatted, and we're using rich HTML formatting for this one. What should the subject line be? And this is where you'll see we can start to use merge fields. What should the attachment be named? And then some other details on how it goes out as well. If I look at the body text for this message, and don't get scared here, I'll open the merge field list. So the product knows that this template is linked to a sales invoice, and it lets you reference fields from the related tables. So if I wanted to put the customer name in or the customer number, I could do that. The most obvious merge field to use would be the invoice number, which you'll see that is the code. By copying that cell, I was able to put that in as the subject of the message. And then you can use those same codes in the body text. You see some HTML format codes here. Again, don't get scared by those. You can keep it simple and use plain text messages, and you don't have to worry about any of this. If you are going to use HTML codes, you can download an HTML editor. There are hundreds of free ones on the internet, so you can use any one you want, and you just tell DocumentPath where it is, and then you wouldn't have to worry about these codes. It would be done behind the scenes. I just chose to work with the raw HTML because I do know it. So you'll see here we have a message that starts off with a greeting line, and there's the merge field that pulls in our merge field 1 from the document distribution line for the customer. So that's our friendly first name greeting. Then please find attached the invoice number due for payment. We put in the payment due date in the message, and asking if there are any questions. So we have our message templates with merge fields. Rather than jump back and forth too much, I'll show you one other one now while we're here. For purchase orders, we've done the same thing, merge field, subject, and body text, but we've used a couple other features as well. Something that comes up quite a bit, especially for purchase orders, is wanting to include something like a terms and conditions sheet with the PO, and often the same time, same thing on sales quotes or invoices going out. So DocumentPath will let you specify any additional attachments that you want and whether to attach them as separate files. If not, it will embed them right into the main PDF with the document. Another feature we have, if you use record links in NAV at all, for purchase orders, I've set up this template to include any record links as additional attachments when the email goes out. So in the case of purchase orders, we have a customer using the product. They attach their engineering drawings to the POs, and DocumentPath then includes those when they go out to the vendor automatically. So again, it's taking things that we saw being requested for customization over the years and trying to get this all into the product. One last thing I'll point out on the templates before we move on and see the product doing something. I have a template here for customer statements. Again, same idea for forming the message. But the other thing we've done with customer statements is set them to go out, rather than using the user's Outlook, we've said we want them to go out through SMTP mail. And what that lets us do is override who the message goes out from. So when I go to send a statement, it's not going to show as coming from me. It will show as coming from accounts receivable and a central email address. So again, that's something we saw requested a lot, specifically around statements. So once you've gone through the setup and you have your customer distributions defined, and there are tools as well to automatically create those distribution lines based on existing data in your database. So keep in mind that the rollout is pretty easy. I'm going to jump over and just show you the product working now. DocumentPath adds a number of page actions to many places in NAV. So one obvious one is posted sales invoices, both on the list and if I were to open up the card. We have new options at the top. We can directly force a document out through email or fax, but typically you'll want to distribute the document using the customer's setup, which is one of the big benefits of the product. You don't have to remember anymore how they like to receive things. We just distribute the document, and I get a prompt, do I want to review the message before it goes out? And I'll talk about the override template code in a minute. For now, I'll leave that blank so that it will use the template we defined on the customer distribution. So it chugs away, creating its PDF and creating the message. And for whatever reason on our server, this seems to come up minimized when it generates. So we'll see it pop up in the bottom in a second, and I'll open it. And there we have our outgoing message ready to adjust the messaging on and send when ready. And you'll see with the rich HTML formatting, you can do things like get your company logo in the signature and make things look really good. So we see our merge fields there, the name, invoice number, due date. I'm just going to close that without sending it for now. And I'll jump over to the purchase order side just so you can see some of the additional attachments that I mentioned. So if I open up purchase order 104001, we can see there is a record link here, which is an engineering drawing. If I distribute this PO using setup, again, I'll review it. I won't override the template. So the product chugs along, creating the message, doing the merge text, and then handling those additional attachments. So in this case, I also had it set to go out to 2 recipients. So you'll see I used a friendly greeting for the 2 names. So we have our text, the required date for the items right in the body. And if I open up the purchase order, thinking about it, we have our PO, and on page 2, we have our terms and conditions. If I open up the engineering drawing, this was the record link that automatically came in. So if you have a need for that type of functionality, it's nice to be able to do all that out of the box with no customization. So that is our process for sending documents one at a time. Connection seems to be a little slow, so bear with me. We also have a function to distribute a batch of documents. So from any of the lists, purchase orders, sales invoices, sales quotes. You can filter down. For example, if you post sales invoices throughout the day, 4 p.m. rolls around, somebody can filter for everything with a posting date of today and then distribute that batch using each customer or vendor setup. And this is where you get options. You can do a separate message for each document, a single message per customer or vendor with a separate attachment per document, or a single message per customer or vendor with all the documents merged into one PDF file. And again, the option for whether to review before sending or just let them go out. So the batch sending, we get a lot of interest in that side of it, along with the customer statements is a big one. And then for people on Serenic payroll, sending out employee pay stubs, we've had a lot of interest there as well. The product does also streamline the flow a bit. So if you, today, if you have a sales order that you're going to ship an invoice and you want to send a invoice out electronically, typically you'll have the shipment come out on whatever printer. The invoice, you can route it to a PDF printer, but again, you're having to give it a name and set up the email, all that stuff manually. We do add a function to the sales order, purchase order, and sales and purchase invoice, as well as service management to post and distribute. So this lets you in one shot say whether you want to ship invoice or ship an invoice, and this would then act according to whatever distribution lines you've set up. So for customer 20,000, we said we want a hard copy of the invoice. This process would post the order through and generate those documents in one shot. So it's all about trying to cut down on the little stuff that just eats up time during the day, is what we're trying to automate on this side. On some of the prompts that came up, you'll saw there was an override template code. So we have our initial template that's used when sending out invoices, purchase orders, other documents. Later on, in the case of a sales invoice, you may not have received payment yet, and we'll look at customer statements, but even apart from statements, you may want to just call up an invoice and send it off because it hasn't been paid and ask what the status is. That's where I can distribute using setup, but I can say I want to change, instead of using the initial template when it goes out, I've created another template for unpaid invoice follow-up. I can use that, say yes. And again, it's doing the same thing, creating the PDF, creating the email, but it's using a different template to form the message. And my email popped up. So again, the attached invoice was due for payment by, we're working in the future here, but it's still outstanding. Can you let me know whether payment has gone out yet? So it just makes it easy to do those sort of follow-ups. And again, on the sales side, it helps you get paid quicker. Same thing on the purchase side. I won't go through and do it, but I created a template for following up on a purchase order that hasn't come in by the date it was expected. So it just makes it nice and easy to do those things. Some of the more advanced functionality, I'm going to jump over and show the customer statement side. So this is where we have a function to distribute customer statements. So again, out of the box with NAV, there's just no way to do this. If you want to send out 100 customer statements, you either have to send the big report to a printer and send out the hard copies, or you would have to go through one by one to generate them as PDFs and send them out another way. With DocumentPath, we have a process to trigger customer statements that will use document distribution lines to send them out. And here's that option I mentioned to include copies of open documents to eliminate the back and forth. I'm not going to override the template code. I'm not going to review the emails. If you were doing 100 statements, you wouldn't want each individual email popping up to review it. So once your template is set up well and you're comfortable the wording will come out fine, you shouldn't have to review them as they go out. I'm going to set this to skip any customers that don't have a distribution set up. There are some other details I won't get into to manage the process, but for now I'm just going to say OK. And DocumentPath goes through, creates each statement, and this is where it's creating the PDFs of each invoice that is still outstanding. And it may take a minute or two. I should have those messages come into my email, which I have running on another screen here. So I get a summary. 2 statements were emailed. A number of customers were skipped because they had no distribution set up. And this is the message that I just received. So again, remember that we had it go out from a central accounts receivable email address. If I open up the statement, we have the statement along with copies of all open invoices. And you'll see, again, this was a plain text message, no fancy HTML formatting. We could have done it either way. And our merge fields do support flow fields. So a calculated field like the customer balance can be embedded into the message as well. Another of our advanced features for anybody that issues electronic payments. Electronic payments have always been something that doesn't quite make sense in NAV from the perspective that they execute fine, but the process isn't fully electronic. In the end, when you export your electronic payments, you end up with hard copy remittance advices that you have to mail out to the vendors, or fax, scan, send out some other way. So in the payment journal, our product adds a function to distribute those remittance advices electronically. I haven't actually run the export process. I won't go through that right now with these sample ones, but it's fully electronically end-to-end. Although if a vendor had specified they do want a hard copy remittance advice, you would set that up in their document distribution lines, and this distribute function would respect that as well. So the product adds a number of sending functions throughout NAV. The other thing that it does add, and we're not trying to be a document management solution, but there is an archive of all sent messages, and there's some setup around this. If you don't want to maintain it, you don't have to. This is our history on everything that was sent. I can go back in. I can look at any message to see how it looked, look at the body text. And if you decide to, you can archive the actual files that go out. So with that setting on, I'm able to open up this purchase order and see how it looked at the time it was sent out, keeping in mind that the same PO may have been sent out multiple times. So we're not trying to replace NAV's archive management or be a full document management solution, but you do have some good tracking options on how things went out. And we also add fact boxes a number of places within NAV. So if I open up the vendor card for vendor 30,000, that same, let me just add that fact box. Oh, I do have it there. Sorry, overlooked it. So we do have a send history specific to each vendor on their card, as well as on each individual document. If I open up a purchase order, I can see the same thing. In a fact box, I will get the history of when it was sent by who, and I can open up any of those messages to look at the details. So as a high-level overview, I think we had scheduled an hour, Abby, but I think at a high level that covers the product without walking through all the little detailed stuff. I don't know if anyone has been logging any questions as things have went along.
As of yet, Rob, we haven't gotten any questions. I'd like to open up the floor to all of our attendees. If anybody has any questions, now's the time. So far, Rob, it looks like your presentation has been pretty self-explanatory. I'll give it one last call for questions.
That's always my goal, is just not to confuse people hopelessly, so as long as I did that.
Absolutely. Here we've got one, Rob. Can can you incorporate a letterhead overlay?
No, we don't have that functionality. If you have, unless you modify the report in NAV to include it, currently we don't have that. So that's something I will make note of, and we'll take a look at. I assume in that case you would have the letterhead as a PDF that you would want merged into the PDF that we produce out of NAV. I don't know if the person that asked that.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I'll make note of that, but no, the answer is right now we don't have that ability.
Okay. Okay, so great. Do we have any other questions we can get while Rob's here with us?
And I'm happy, just so everybody knows too, this was a general demo. If there are areas of DocumentPath that you're particularly interested in, I didn't go through all the details today, so we're happy to connect for a tailored demo as well, if anybody would like that in a specific area. Or if there are other people at your company that would be involved in the decision process, ABC knows where to reach me, and we'd be happy to coordinate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another question here, Rob. We're wondering what version of NAV is required.
The product is only available for the role-tailored client. So it's NAV 2009 up, but not the classic client. It has to be the role-tailored client. If you're on NAV 2009 and you have reports, if you're on the role-tailored client, but you have some reports that only have classic layouts, the product will support that. That's okay. But the important thing is users have to be working in the role-tailored client. We do have the Altus Send product, which has been around since 2006. That one would be your solution. And again, ABC is a reseller for that one. That would be your solution for a classic client. It doesn't have as many features as DocumentPath, but the nice thing is anybody that has Altus Send, when they upgrade someday to the role-tailored client, you will get a free transition to DocumentPath.
Great. Okay. Any more questions for Rob? Wonderful. Okay. And Rob, any more thoughts? Any closing words?
No, it's really, if anybody has further questions or wants pricing information, anything else, go to ABC, contact the usual folks there, and they'll be happy to help you out, and they'll come to me if they need me. So yeah, just thank everybody for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Rob, for that great presentation.
Thanks, Abby.
All right, everybody have a great day.